Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morgan, Rough Motor City Bad Mouth, and I am pleased to be joined by my great panel tonight, Steve Balestrieri. Welcome back, Steve.
Thanks for having me, as always.
You're welcome. And Greg Fuchs, welcome back.
Glad to be here, Scott. Hello, everybody.
And my running back, Mel Farr Jr.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
And last but not least, Joe Packhem. What's going on, Joe?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Well, we're going to be packing a lot of information into this broadcast. So we're going to start off with the Miami Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars have their 20-game losing streak snapped to the Miami Dolphins. And, you know, when you think about this game, I know, Greg, you wrote on it. Okay. I think one of the turning points of this game, I thought initially was that 4th and 2 when Jacksonville opted not to kick that field goal. It goes the length of the field. I thought the Dolphins had a chance to go ahead and come away with the win there. And apparently Urban Meyer showed no trust with the kicking game. Well, how things would turn out much differently. Greg, take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing, I got my notes here of what went well, what didn't go well, what they could have done differently. Bottom line is the Dolphins lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, that's just unacceptable. I know the Dolphins have not played this well this year, but Jacksonville, still one of the worst teams in the league, in my opinion. And the other thing that makes it a little odd, if I told you before the game the Dolphins would win time of possession, they'd convert 9 of 17 on third downs and hold Jacksonville to 3 of 12 on third downs. Tua would not be sacked at all. The Dolphins would only turn the ball over one time. You would have said, okay, how much did the Dolphins win by? But they just consistently shot themselves in the foot with little things. Some was coaching, some was execution. I mean, they were up 10-3, I think, in the second quarter, had a 4th and 3 on Jacksonville 43-yard line. Perfect time to go for it, and they punt. Later in the game, they had it 4th and 1 on the 46-yard line. They punt again. And then certain things, you know, you never know execution versus coaching, but twice in the game, they had a 3rd and 6. And what do? They complete a 5-yard pass to Mike Gesicki. I mean, shouldn't you run at least a 6-yard route if it's 3rd and 6? And both of those ended up being points for Jacksonville, because once they punted up from their 12, Jacksonville got it on the 49, right down the field for a touchdown. The other time was late in the game. They ended up going for it on 4th and 1, got stopped, and that led Jacksonville to the game-winning field goal. The other thing that sort of drives me crazy about the Dolphins, among many, it's a long list, is last year when the Dolphins had the 6th best defensive lead and led the league in turnovers, they constantly put 6 to 8 guys at the line of scrimmage to confuse quarterbacks. Seemed to be fairly effective. And they have rarely done that this year. They finally started doing it in the second half the other day, and it helped. Why they don't do it this year, I am not really sure. Positives from the game, Tua looked pretty good. Offensive line protect him. It would be nice if they ran the ball once in a while. The last 2 games, they've run the ball combined 29 times. I mean, that's you just can't do that. You got to keep the other team guessing. And they got to get Myles Gaskin involved. I think he's one of their better playmakers, and they pretty much ignored him against Jacksonville. I could go on for another half hour, but I don't want to bore you guys and take over the entire show with 1 in 5 Dolphins talk. So,
Well, that's
anyone out there have optimism for the Dolphins?
I don't know. Well, let's just run a couple more numbers here. Obviously, there was no trust in the kicking game for Jacksonville, but when Nick Wright was definitely right by going 3 for 3 in field goals and 2 for 2 on extra points. Because of his performance, Josh Lambo did get cut by the Jaguars today. So, you know, and I often wonder, and I'll let Steve, what do you think? Do you think that Brian Flores may find himself on the hot seat if things continue to regress this way? And we can all agree that Urban Meyer did not mind taking this flight back.
No, you know, I thought the Dolphins were going to be better this year than they are right now. I mean, I thought this might be a team on the cusp of the playoffs again. I mean, it hasn't worked out that way. They've really struggled. Their one fumble away from being 0-5. I mean, you go back to that opening week game in New England. New England's, inside the 10-yard line, going for the game-winning touchdown, they fumbled the ball away. If it turns out that way, the Dolphins are 0-5, and nobody.
I believe 0-6.
0-6. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Nobody would have expected that. So, Flores might find himself on the hot seat. I mean, I don't know if Ross is going to give him any kind of leeway on this, but.
Well, I do know when they brought Flores in, they gave him a 5-year contract. I believe he's in year number 4. So to lose a game to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team which has been struggling all year, in the manner for which they did, to me, it was not a good look by any stretch of the imagination. And Urban Meyer is the one guy who could say probably was able to breathe a big sigh of relief, at least for this week. So Mel, what are your thoughts about what took place out in London?
Well, obviously the Jaguars got out to Snide, which is good for them. I did like what Tua did. He did play well. I got confused when Jacoby Brissett went in there one time. I don't know. I looked away from the TV and I saw him complete a pass. I don't know what was going on with that, and saw Tua cheering him on. So that kind of concerned me. But he has come back from the injury. I think a lot of us expected the Dolphins to do a little bit better. This was probably one of those weeks where I don't know. Maybe they just took Jacksonville lightly because they hadn't won a game up until that point. But it was a competitive back and forth game for what we were watching. Two teams that are struggling, but I did like what Tua did. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence played well, and obviously gave the team an opportunity to win the game. Did everything that he could to give the team an opportunity to win the game. But when you have teams like that with a really struggling with quarterbacks or young quarterbacks, you really got to run the football. You got to be committed to running the football. You can't drop back that many times and expect to have good things happen all the time. And that's going to help you. That does nothing but help your defense out as well. And I know, Steve, you're talking about the defense. Sometimes offense can be the defense's best friend or best enemy, or worst enemy rather. And in this case, I think both offenses are their defense's worst enemy because they do not run the football. You don't take any time off the clock. I know, we talk about those little hits passes and things of that nature are just like running the football, but you really need to pound those guys. Give your offensive lineman an opportunity to just to move, to go forward instead of always backing up, get the defense tired. And neither team does that very well up until this point. But I thought it was nice for Urban to get a win. I think he feels a lot better about it. He's kind of what happened to him is kind of old news now since we had John Gruden break last week. So it's kind of nice for him to get that win, to see that maybe he has not lost a locker room, because I know we spent a lot of time talking about that he could possibly lose a locker room, especially with a team that doesn't really seem to have very much veteran leadership.
Let alone the fact that they've been decimated by injuries. All right, Joe, what's your take on this?
I really like the skill player production on Jacksonville's side. Thought it was good to see them coming together. Tua was taking less chances than he had been in previous games. James Robinson looked good. Marvin Jones keeps surprising me each week. Not each week, but throughout the year, I've been surprised at how well he's been playing in that new role down there in Jacksonville. So I very much like that. And when you think about Jacksonville, it was their first time having the ball in a good, on the other side of the 50. So thanks, Dolphins, to Jacksonville for setting them up with good field position multiple times in that game when they had not had that ever all season. And, Jacksonville also gets kind of like a home field type advantage in London. I mean, they've been repeatedly going to London. And if you want to talk about a team that would maybe even relocate, could be Jacksonville to London. So I definitely thought that they were able to establish the run in Jacksonville, and that opened up the passing game. And you all probably know my takes on Tua already. I don't like him a lot. I believe that they were bringing Jacoby Brissett in there for some really short yardage situations where he could sneak, he could rush, he could have an option, or he passes. He's that bigger body. They're not quite as cautious with him rushing the ball. So it's good to see Jacksonville get a win. They've been, working their way up from the bottom. Urban Meyer, what I think was really a key to that game was Trevor Lawrence was getting out of the pocket and he was rushing, and they were running that option. They were running an option quite a bit in terms of, he was holding it. He would hand it off. And that's the kind of stuff that Urban Meyer, I think, is going to want to be implementing there in Jacksonville. And if he's not implementing that and Trevor Lawrence isn't rushing and he's trying to be a pocket passer only, that's what I think holds back their offense, their play calling, their whole scheme. So letting Trevor Lawrence get out there, I know it's kind of scary with him being the number 1 overall pick and the leader for the franchise for many years to come. But, I think that that's probably a big key. If you're seeing Trevor Lawrence get, 25 yards rushing or people are biting on his fakes, that's a good case for Jacksonville.
Well, the only thing I'll say about the Jacksonville connection out in London is they need that game to make a profit or break even because of the lack of revenue in Jacksonville. And that's why they are fortunate enough to play that game year in and year out. So from a profitability standpoint, for them to go there, not only cash in on the merchandise sales, but to be able to play to a sellout crowd. Shad Khan makes a lot of money there. I know, I've been around the Jacksonville situation for a while. And let's not count James Robinson, probably arguably one of the most underrated running backs as well. So just thought I'd throw that out there. We have a lot to get to tonight, but how can we not have a show without wondering how bad the Detroit Lions will get whipped by Matthew Stafford of the LA Rams? All right, Steve, go ahead. How bad is it going to get? We're not going to spend forever on the subject, but we have to get to it because it is Lions Rams week.
Well, I know there's a couple of you guys that are big time Lions fans. I just think it's going to get ugly for the Lions this week. Stafford definitely wants to make a statement. And, the Rams are pretty stacked. They're one of my teams that I think will probably be in the Final Four in the NFC. So I just don't think it's going to be very pretty.
Oh, all right. Go ahead, Greg.
I had a little brain fart there. What are we talking about? Less. I apologize.
That's why we're talking about the Lions and
the Lions. Maybe that's why I had a brain fart.
That's okay.
One,
right? Okay.
That was intentional.
Yeah. Some people thought the Rams overpaid when they traded for Matthew Stafford. We all know why they made that trade. Made a huge difference for the Rams and for the Lions. I know I wasn't optimistic that Goff would be their quarterback of the future, but at least they got a few extra first-round draft picks to use, I think, this year and next. So there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, but you expect exactly what a lot of us do, right? That the Lions are going to get smoked at Sci-Fi, right, Greg?
It's gonna be a blowout.
Okay, all right, Mel. Obviously, we know about our Lions connections here. So, what are your thoughts about Stafford and the Lions?
Yeah, well, you see why Matthew Stafford wanted to get out of there. It's just, same story, just a different year. But and we've talked about it before about Jared Goff. You see why the Rams wanted to move away from him. And the coach came out this week in the press conference and said that, Jared Goff needs to step up. He has to do more. He has to carry this team, and he's not capable of doing that. You're asking him to do something that he's not capable of doing. Now, maybe he can make a throw here and there. You got to make it a little bit easier for him, that he can make a throw here and there. But they gotta run the football. I know he's disappointed with the effort that they came out with this past week. Maybe they were spent from the loss a week ago because that was an emotional loss. The coach was emotional, and maybe they were just emotionally spent this past week against the Bengals. But it's unfortunate for the people in Detroit. It's really unfortunate. And, they got that nice stadium down there that they pretty much sell it all the time. Although I noticed last week, I don't think they had a sellout. I think it might have been about 50,000 people there. But the Lions, the fans just need to boycott the Lions. They need to stop going to the games. And maybe that will force the forwards to do something to put a better product out there on the field, because this is embarrassing. I mean, we're the only team in the Super Bowl era that has not, only franchise in the Super Bowl era that has not gone to the Super Bowl. There's been expansion teams that have gone to the Super Bowl, and the Lions haven't come close other than back in '91, I believe it was, when they made it to the NFC Championship game. Other than that, they haven't been close, and they haven't really been competitive, so, to say the least. A playoff here or there, but they really haven't been competitive in that division. And it's embarrassing. I mean, it's the same old every year. You get excited, and by, here we are, week 6, I guess, and we're out of it. You can pretty much count the Lions out of it. They were able to run the table and win the next 11, which we all believe would not happen. But if somehow they were able to do that, that would surprise me. But it's just embarrassing. And yeah, I mean, in Matthew Stafford, I think he's going to come back and he's going to want it, to show out, against the Lions, and he should. They had him there all that time, and they wasted the time that they had with him by not putting the pieces around him that he needed in order to succeed. And that's what the Lions have failed to do. They've drafted some good players, but you can look around the league where their draft picks are playing well in other places, because for whatever reason, they failed to re-sign their own draft picks. And that's a problem. I mean, you can't spend draft picks and then let these people go. I think I was watching the game yesterday, and Roger Sapple's name came up. And I think for some reason, I think he played with the Lions at one particular time. I think he played at the Rams, but he started out the Lions. Van Noy, he was with the Lions. You were talking about the wide receiver. He was with the Lions. With Jacksonville, he was with the Lions, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, you got all these players around the league, the DBs, Slade. I mean, they had all these players around the league that the Lions had, and they let them go. You can't build a franchise like that. You have to have a core group of guys that you build your franchise around. And the only thing that they kept consistent really is their quarterback. They've let everybody else get out of there. And that's unfortunate. And that's something that has to change. It starts with management. And you can see that they're very poorly managed. The Fords just don't know how to win, and they need to get out the way, sell the franchise, give it to somebody who wants to really go out there and put a product out there on the field that they can be proud of. I don't even know how they go to owners meetings. I really don't. I mean, I'd have to put a bag over my head and sit in owners meetings. It's embarrassing.
All right. So my question to you is, how ugly will it get in Los Angeles now?
I mean, I'm sure they'll look good coming out of the tunnel and whatnot. I'm sure they're going to feel good because they're going to be out in Los Angeles, but it's going to be nasty out there. It's going to be nasty. I mean, with that defense that the Rams have, it's going to be nasty. And Matthew Stafford, I would have a chip on my shoulder. So it's going to be ugly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and one guy we should mention, Jamal Agnew, obviously a contributor with Jacksonville as well. Nevin Lawson on the defensive side, and we know Mount Marvin Jones Jr. out there. All right, Joe, you get a crack at this one.
Well, Goff and Stafford both know each opposite defense well. They've played against them in practices. They know what they're looking for. They've got the same different type of defensive schemes. Yes, things were heated with Dan Campbell last week in that press conference. I was definitely going to bring that up as well. You need Goff to step up. But look, I mean, Hawkinson is banged up. He's not playing well. He's got some lingering issues. They're really counting on Amon-Ra St. Brown so much. I mean, he's a rookie. He's not even a first-round rookie. They're putting everything on them. They're going to, he's probably going to get shadowed by Jalen Ramsey. Jared Goff is going to have nowhere to look. They're not going to be able to run the ball. They're going to get stuffed up in the middle of the field. And by the middle of the field, I mean between the tackles. They might get some running backs out of the backfield. Maybe, Swift gets 40 yards in receiving, but I don't think it's going to really do enough, and that they're really going to have trouble scoring 14 points. And the Rams definitely score 30. And I to reemphasize some of the things that were just recently said, I have no idea how Goff, what does he do? I mean, where does he look to throw the ball? There's no one else out there. I mean, everybody's gone. It was pretty much a wholesale change. Everybody left. All the wide receivers left. And you know, how long
left because they didn't want to pay him.
So yeah, nobody, they don't want to, if they don't want to pay anybody, that's probably why Darius Slay had left. He wanted a bigger contract. People had identified he was a top defensive back. He wanted more money. He knows what he's worth. Other people around him are telling him what he's worth. He's got agents and stuff that are looking at all the salaries. So that type of stuff on a management level is very, very interesting and kind of sad, especially coming from someone like you that's followed the Lions for so long. But Goff's not going to have anywhere to look. I think he's going to get sacked at least 4 times. Cooper Kupp scores. Robert Woods scores. Darrell Henderson scores. You know, and then some miscellaneous. They might even have a defensive score. It's going to be rough. 30-14 Rams win.
Okay, the only thing I'll add to this before we go on to our next subject is this. Joey Harrington, drafted by the Lions, returned to Detroit Thanksgiving Day, blew out the Lions. It was probably the happiest day of his life on Thanksgiving. And I actually happened to be in Atlanta for Thanksgiving because I was with an ex-girlfriend's family and we were hanging out over there. And I saw the Lions get smoked at Ford Field, and Joey Harrington did the job up the Lions. So why do I bring that up here? Well, I see Matthew Stafford throwing for over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and it will be a long day in LA for the Lions. So it's going to get ugly, 3 touchdowns plus. All right, let's talk about Cam Newton. Finally got vaccinated. My goodness. Okay, Steve Balestrieri, you're leading off. Is this guy going to get a job?
You never know. I mean, you never say never. I think Cam can still play, you know, if he's in the right offense. And guys are getting banged up. They're getting hurt. I think, you know, if a team loses their starting quarterback and, you know, they need to bring somebody in, I think he will get a call. I'm not sure it'll be right away, but I think there's still a market for a guy like him. I think, you know, if he's in the right offense where he's able to, you know, run that option that he's so very good at, you know, then he'd be successful. He had a rough year with the Patriots last year because of COVID, and then, you know, he got COVID. So he never really got into a comfort level with the Patriots where, you know, a lot of people were saying he's washed up. I'm not really sure he is. I thought he had a pretty good training camp. He had his moments, but I was kind of surprised they let him go.
All right, so you're saying you think he will get a job.
I think he's going to get a job.
All right, Greg, does Cam Newton get a job?
Unfortunately, there's bound to be some injuries, so some team may have to roll the dice with him. I'm surprised someone didn't sign him earlier, just because, I mean, bringing in any quarterback in the middle of the season, not familiar with the playbook, no relationship with the receivers, I think you're asking an awful lot if you're bringing in Cam Newton to be your starter. If you're bringing him in to be the backup, that's a different story. I mean, that team that jumps to mind that I thought was going to sign him earlier was the Cowboys, because if Dak Prescott ever gets hurt, I can't even recollect who the Cowboys backup quarterback is right now.
Cooper Rush.
Well, there you go. Enough said.
Last time he threw a pass was back in 2017.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have Cam than Cooper Rush. So
yes or no, Greg, does he get a job?
There's so many injuries, and there's still 11, 12 weeks to go in the season. I think somebody will sign him.
What about you, Mel? Is Cam Newton going to get a job?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, if I'm a team that has playoff aspirations and I have a quarterback that's that has similar traits as Cam Newton, you know that person is likely to get dinged up. Particularly, you talk about like the Cowboys. They have playoff aspirations. They have championship aspirations. And Cam Newton, you can't tell me that he's not better. He's not an upgrade over their backup that they have there right now, Cooper Rush. He's a definite upgrade. Dak Prescott is a little dinged up right now. He hurt his calf on the last play of the game. So, thinking forward, you want to have that insurance policy. I mean, the backup quarterback is just an insurance policy. And like you said, Greg, at least sign him to the practice squad. So the guys out there practicing with the team, learning the verbiage, learning the players and different things. He's getting himself in football shape, getting acclimated to playing football again, so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you're picking up off the street on a Tuesday and you haven't practiced Wednesday and Thursday and then walk through on Friday and you expect them to go play on Sunday. That's not fair to anybody. It's not fair to the players or on the team, and it's certainly not fair to Cam Newton. And you won't get the best out of Cam Newton. So, yeah, I think so. I mean, I know that there have been some talks with Seattle, had talked to him. I don't know what's going on there necessarily. I like the way that Geno played. He looked good. But still, Russell's going to be out for a little while. And I don't know who the backup is to Geno. So that's something that they should take a strong look at. Now, Seattle's not playing all that great right now. Is that
Jake Luton is one of the backups. They brought him in. I believe it's in Oregon State. I'm just saying.
How many people knew that name?
Well,
He was in Jacksonville.
You do now.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
No, we aim to entertain and inform.
But again, though, is that a place that Cam would want to go to? If it were me, I want to go to a team that has a chance to win, that has a chance to compete. And right now, they're in a dogfight in that division they're playing in. The ideal situation would be for him to go to a team like the Cowboys, where Dak more than likely will not get hurt, but it is a long season. He's coming off an injury from last year. He was a little banged up in preseason. Weren't quite sure if he was going to start the first game of the season. Now, he's got this little calf problem with these soft tissue injuries. You don't know how long it'll take to recuperate from something like that. So, I mean, if the Cowboys were smart, they'd sign him this week and get him in there, get him on the practice squad, and get him an opportunity to get some reps in there. And, he's an insurance policy. In case something breaks, here's Cam Newton. That's what he's there for. If nothing happens, great. Cam will just have to, keep practicing and wait till next year to get an opportunity to play. But I think he should definitely get an opportunity, and I think he will get an opportunity to be on somebody's roster.
Okay, Joe, you get a crack at this question.
Yeah, I think he's going to be signed. I definitely heard those reports that he was working out in Seattle. And if, like Greg was saying, if you have somebody that you sign mid-season and that you need to get them in there, I think one of the best people for that would be Cam Newton. You could really pare down the playbook and add a lot of rushing, because really he's like a running back. So he's like a big running back. Especially with, as he's getting older, accuracy hasn't always been his game. If you think about him going into Seattle, say Geno gets hurt, say he's not doing well, they bench him and they put in Cam, in that kind of offense with those receivers, they always counted on Russell Wilson to be super accurate. So that wouldn't be really a great landing spot for Cam, because then he would only have running. He would not be able to hit those tight windows that they need. Already they're relying right now on like Metcalf's strength and, just his big bodiness. But those kind of finesse plays from Lockett, you've seen his plays and his production kind of decreasing since Russell Wilson has gone out, because they took advantage of the accuracy that was between them. So if Cam went there, I don't think it would really be a good fit for his type of play. But I do think that he's definitely going to get signed. I haven't heard of that about the Cowboys. And like Steve was saying, I was very surprised that he was cut at the beginning of the year, but it made sense, maybe for the locker room. But he still had so many rushing touchdowns the year before. He still has juice. He's going to get signed.
Well, I'll throw a couple teams out there that most people probably wouldn't even think about doing it, but I'm going to do it just for the sake of getting reaction here. One, the Houston Texans, I think would be an interesting situation, because that would
Wouldn't want to go there.
Yeah, but why not? I mean, if he hasn't,
I guess if he wants to play, I mean, yeah,
well, that's exactly what I'm saying. If he wants to play, I think the Houston Texans would be a place that he could go. I'm just throwing him out there.
Well, that place is a dumpster. That place is a dumpster fire.
I think it is, but if you're looking to want to play, then why not take a shot at it? Get reps. But I'm just throwing it out there.
Baltimore.
Yeah, what about
I think
Baltimore?
Buffalo. What about Buffalo? Just in case he gets hurt. It's just in
They
case.
got Trubisky. They already have
Trubisky.
Trubisky.
Oh my God!
Well,
please.
Oh, come
That's
on.
why I was thinking Baltimore, because, Lamar, I mean, he runs a lot, and, if Lamar was to get hurt, I think Cam Newton, he's not the same type of quarterback, but I mean, could run. I think he could run
Who they
that
have
off.
at Baltimore right now as backup.
All right, well,
think
here, you know what?
I
I'll
think
say,
it's Tyler Huntley, isn't it? Is that what it was? I'll
Or is
look it up.
Or is it the kid from Penn State? Is he still there?
It would be Brett Hundley.
McSorley?
Tyler Huntley,
okay.
Okay,
former
that's
Utah.
right. Yeah, he's like a rookie, isn't he? Or a second year guy?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll just say this. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay, say what you guys want.
I like him.
I would say Houston Texans, or believe it or not, the Miami Dolphins.
What about the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, right. Would they have the guts to make that signing? I think. Why
Or the
not?
Colts.
I mean, the coach has already thrown the quarterback under the bus.
All right, and at what point do they bench Goff or David Blau? Yeah, why not throw Cam Newton out there?
Yeah,
with the
I think
Lions?
I'd take Cam over Goff.
Well, all right. So there you go, folks. You have a lot of different locations for Cam Newton. So whatever, folks, as you listen to this broadcast, you think we're all the craziest, you're probably right. But we all have opinions, and in this particular place, they vary all over the place. All right. This one is going to be directed for Joe Packhem only. All right. Tennessee 34, Buffalo 31, Derrick Henry 20 rushes, 143 yards, 3 touchdowns. All right. How many fantasy points does Derrick Henry get for this one? Because none of us know much about fantasy.
It depends on your scoring. It depends on your scoring if you're in a PPR, half PPR standard, but he was definitely scoring over 30 points, which is basically league winning in almost all formats. So he's a beast. I follow some exercise science people that post about injuries and things like that on Twitter. And they're like, I have a master's and blah, blah, blah. And I don't understand how this works. He's so big. He's so fast. When you see him break out of there, like dude's like 220 pounds, 6'1", busts out of there, breaks away from everybody. That was insane. He's so fast.
He's about 240, 250.
Yeah, he's like 250. Yeah.
He's like 6'2", 6'3".
So
it's like getting hit by a
points.
semi truck.
Man, that was a lot of fantasy points in that. A lot of fantasy matches were lost on Monday night. Let's say that. You might have thought you were in good shape coming out of the Sunday night games, but Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, who had that totally wide open touchdown. Josh Allen scored way above. Derrick Henry scored great. Julio was not really performing. AJ Brown was okay.
Well, let's stick with Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry is a beast. He probably scored 35 points in most formats.
Yeah, a whole lot more than Justin Tucker did when he kicked that long Gus field goal, right? Just want to make sure we incorporated that with it here. All right, this is
5 points.
This is Joe Packhem's opportunity to get his little fantasy business in. So folks out there, if you're scoring with your fantasy, according to Joe Packham, our crack expert on fantasy, that Mr. Henry gets over 35 points. So I just wanted to leave that one all by himself on this one, guys. But since none of us know much about fantasy football, and Steve and I have been covering the games, so I don't really know that whether fantasy football was really part of our thing. And Mel was carrying the rock, and Greg, who knows what you were doing out there, but you're probably doing an incredible job selling businesses, not worried about fantasy football.
Yes,
I play
Christian
in two.
McCaffrey
I
on
play
his
in two
fantasy
fantasy leagues, and I have Derrick Henry on one of my teams. So
Then you're really
CMC
smart.
on the other. I remember.
Are you winning in that league, Greg?
I am 4-2 in both my leagues.
So where do you stand here? Are you high, low, or middle?
Tied for first and tied for second.
All right, he's doing good. Okay, with that said, okay, we're going to talk about some other non-football related items. We're going to lead off with the man here who's playing fantasy football, Greg Fuchs. Give me your comments about Aaron Boone signing a 3-year contract extension with the Yankees with a 4th-year option. Was that a good move by the Yankees?
I guess so. I'm not a big fan of making changes just for change's sake. I know Yankee fans, for some reason, think they deserve to win the World Series every single year, and the other 29 teams have no say in the matter. But I mean, they have a good team, and their pitching staff wasn't the best this year. And I'm always, when a team wins, I think managers always get more credit than they deserve, and then they also get more blame when they don't win. I think the most blame or credit on any team goes to the general manager. You got to give them the players. I mean, the Yankees got a lot of talent. Were they the most talented team in the American League? No. So, I mean, if you would change Aaron Rodgers, yeah. They probably could use Aaron Rodgers as a pitcher. But Aaron Boone as the manager, if they had changed, I'm not sure what difference it would have made. He's a solid manager. Give him the players, he'll get you there.
So you're saying it was a good move?
It was a solid move. I mean, if they had, you know, not that he's available, if they had gotten rid of Aaron Boone and signed Don Mattingly as the manager, would have been a solid hire. Probably wouldn't have made that much of a difference.
Fair enough. All right, I'm going to go to Joe Packhem. I'm wearing a Milwaukee Bucks cap because it's the opener tonight out in Milwaukee, and they play the New Jersey Nets. New Jersey Nets? No. Once upon a time, they were the New Jersey Nets. They'll say the Brooklyn Nets. Who cares? The Nets are the Nets. I've always known them for being a Dr. Julius Irving anyways, and they haven't done a whole lot. So with that said, we'll take the Nets out of the equation and ask Joe Packhem, are the Milwaukee Bucks going to repeat as NBA champs?
Absolutely. Giannis is in his prime, and they're built to win. They're built to stay. And that's what my t-shirt I got from the game said.
Okay. So you believe your homies are going to win again?
Definitely.
There you go. And I'm wearing the Milwaukee Bucks hat. So I'm actually buying the Kool-Aid, and they have a whole lot less drama than some of the other teams we're going to mention. All right, Mel, we'll go to Atlanta right now. Just to give you an update here, the Atlanta Braves lead the Dodgers 5-2, bottom of the eighth. The Dodgers find themselves down 2-0, and the way things are going, they could be down 3-0 by the end of the night. So my question to you, Mel, is Atlanta was up 3-1 in last year's NLCS, but lost. Well, the Braves finished the job in 2021. And then I have a two-part question. How is that stadium, Truist Park, working out compared to the other stadium that they were in? But can the Braves get rid of the Dodgers?
Yeah, I think so. I just happened to be watching that game on my way home, and they lost the ball. They had 2 outs, and they had a kind of a routine fly ball near the warning track, near the wall. And the guy, I guess, lost it in the sun or whatever, bounced off his glove, and that kind of started to open up the floodgates. And they got the 4 runs in that inning. I think it was the second inning.
Right.
But I think they can finish the job. I mean, at the trade deadline, I think they were 5 games under 500 at that particular time, and they made some moves, got some bats in there. They redid the outfield because they had some injuries, obviously, with Acuna going down with a knee. But they're a good team. I went out there and watched them a few times, and Atlanta's a great baseball town. Great baseball town. I remember from being younger, watching the guys when it was on TBS or TNT, and that tomahawk chomp. That stadium gets rocking, and this city loves the Braves, and they're playing well right now. They're playing well today. They're hitting the ball. Freddie Freeman came out of his little funk and got on base a couple times today. So, yeah, I think they can finish the job. But it's difficult. You give somebody a 3-game lead, and all you got to do is win 1 game. That's tough. Now, even though the next 3 games, the next 2 games are still out there in LA. If they lose today, they got the work cut out for them. And Scherzer's arm is dead. He said, I don't know if they have enough pitching. They're not hitting the ball that well right now. But it's tough. Dave Roberts has his work cut out for him. I like both stadiums. The difference is that it's more traffic on my side of town now versus on the other side of town. That's the only thing that's different about the stadiums for me. But
right,
I love the old stadium. I mean, that place used to get. I mean, like I said, I used to watch it on TV, and it was rocking, and it was a nice stadium. I couldn't believe that they. I mean, they weren't in that stadium that long in the TED. They weren't in there that long, and but Truist Park is a nice venue, great place to watch a ball game. I enjoy going out there. Only problem is, parking, which is the same thing with everywhere. But other than that, it's a nice place to go watch a ball game. Atlanta is a great baseball town. They love those Braves.
Yeah, I actually saw a game at the old Fulton County Stadium. Never made it to Turner Field in downtown, and now I believe they're up in Cobb County, where Truist Park is at. Is that correct?
Yep.
drive
They run
by
the south
there.
side. Now they've moved up this way.
Right, and I usually drive by there every time I go through your neck of the woods. Be doing that anyway. So,
Well, yeah, you could see both of them.
Yeah, no, that's what I usually do every time I take the track up 75. So would you say that the crowds have actually been better though, Mel, at Truist Park than they were over at the other two stadiums, Turner Field or Fulton County Stadium, knowing that there isn't as much traffic and it's more suburbia?
The crowds are still great. I think they probably moved the stadium closer to where the fans were coming from.
Okay.
I think the fans were probably more so coming from the north side of town versus the south side of town. That's probably why they moved the stadium on this side of town. But yeah, no, the fans are just as raucous as they were when you used to watch them on TV at Fulton County Stadium and at the TED. It's a great atmosphere and it's a beautiful stadium.
Yeah, but I do remember a while back that the Braves weren't necessarily selling out their playoff games back over at Fulton County Stadium or over at Turner Field. Maybe they were so happy that they were winning all the time, they weren't getting to the World Series. I know Atlanta is an interesting sports town, but it seems like the dynamics of them going north makes it look like the crowds are a whole lot better there from what I've been able to pick up. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I know my brother went to game one. He said it wasn't a seat in the house.
Right. So
it wasn't an empty seat in the house.
Yeah, so Truist Park really, to me, seems like a much better move than when they were playing over at Fulton County Stadium or over at Turner Field. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
All right, Steve, it's your turn. Okay, the Boston Red Sox success, is that cushioning the blow for another tough season up in New England with the New England Patriots?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, if the Red Sox can finish the deal against the Astros, win two more games, and make it to the World Series, yeah, I think it would. It's a crazy baseball town up there. The old saying used to be there's 500,000 managers for the Red Sox, and the guy that's in the dugout is only there because the fans can't get in there and boot them out. I mean, everyone thinks they can manage better than the manager can. But I think people are pretty happy up there with Cora. I think he's a good manager myself. But yeah, they're the fans have really gotten behind this team. They started off like a house of fire. They were like in first place. Then the bottom fell out for them in the middle of the season. And now, the offense has caught fire. They have 3 grand slams. That's crazy. And I haven't seen anything, what's going on there tonight. But yeah, to answer your question, I think, it wouldn't cushion the blow. It would just distract the people because they're so spoiled by the Patriots' success. Right now, they can't handle any kind of losing right now. The fans are going nuts over the Patriots right now.
Yeah, they're up 2-1 right now in the bottom of the second.
Well, actually, you know what? Right now, the Dodgers have tied this game 5-5 at the bottom of the 8th. Oh, there's your.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Right next to me. And
whose bat woke up?
I don't know, but I know we have a 5-5 game, so here we're giving.
I got depressed. I had to cut off the game. I didn't want to watch it anymore.
That's right. I'm watching. I'm giving you the updates whether you like them.
I'm a Dodger fan. I've been a Dodger fan forever. My grandfather used to listen to it on the radio.
And by the way, one of the contributors that Greg and I are all too familiar with for the Braves is Adam Duvall, who his power is unbelievable. He looked good for the Marlins, but obviously they let him go at the trade deadline, and he's been a big contributor for the Braves. So yeah,
Bellinger hit a home run.
So all right, 5-5. The score right now. The Dodgers aren't dead yet, so they need this. And I will say this about the Dodgers, though. They didn't have the luxury of Clayton Kershaw this year in the postseason.
Nope.
Trevor Bauer was brought in to do some things, his off the field distractions.
He's out there doing the Marv Albert stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, right. I hear you. So, the Dodgers are faced with a lot of challenges for sure. Good old Mel with his humor. Gotta love it. So Adam Duvall has really come through. So, but meanwhile, we have a 5-5 game as we speak right now. But all right, so I know we're bouncing back and forth between Steve and Mel. But, I got to hand it to the Red Sox. So Kyle Schwarber was a good mid pickup. And JD Martinez, who the Houston Astros didn't think could play, goes to Detroit. And then he does well with the Tigers and ends up going over to Boston. So don't tell me that, folks, that JD Martinez isn't getting a degree of revenge against the Astros who kicked him to the curb. So, it's come full circle. And Alex Cora is a heck of a manager. He really, really is. He's a money manager. So all right. So let's talk about opening night in the NBA. Okay. And I know there's only one guy that doesn't even know what tape delay was back on CBS back in the late 70s, and that's Joe Packhem. But I'm going to bring up two guys here, Kyrie Irving, okay, who's not being allowed to play whatsoever because he's not vaccinated. So, Steve, what are your thoughts about Kyrie Irving? Is he being selfish, stupid, or both?
Both.
Okay.
But, at the same time, I mean, I know a lot of people, it's not just sports star. A lot of people in this country don't trust the vaccine. And the more they try to push it on people, the more people are pushing back. And, I think I saw something on the news yesterday. There's 66 million people that haven't been vaccinated in the United States. So, but at the same time, you're making multi-million dollars. Your employer wants you to get vaccinated to take the heat off them so you can play. You have to decide what's more important to you. I myself think you should probably just take the vaccination. I mean, I've had experiences with that being a military member. Whenever you go someplace, you're getting vaccinated for something every time you go overseas to someplace. Did we want to take vaccinations? And half the time, stuff that they gave us was, it had side effects, So, but at the same time, Kyrie he's just being Kyrie.
Okay. All right, Greg.
Yeah, Kyrie he's a little bit of a crazy person. You never know what he's thinking or why he's doing things. To me, I mean, I got vaccinated, and obviously a lot of people who got vaccinated have caught COVID, but I don't know what the real downside is to getting the vaccination. I haven't read about a whole lot of severe side effects, people getting ill because they took it other than the 48 hours. So why he would let down his teammates and his fans, and obviously it's hurting his pocketbook big time too. I don't get Kyrie, but Kyrie's always marched to a different drummer. And as a Celtics fan, I was glad to see him leave Boston a few years ago. And I mean, if New Jersey was healthy and Kyrie was there playing, probably the odds-on favorite to win the title. But without Kyrie, I don't think they're going to win the title.
Joe, you want to give us your 2 cents about, I forget about Kyrie, but just the vaccine in itself?
In general, if you can get vaccinated, you should get vaccinated for yourself and for others, for people that are more vulnerable than you. Panels of scientists have prepared this to protect the country that you live in and all of the people around you. You do have to trust them. I mean, if you have a reason, even somebody who's immunocompromised, that they're still could take the vaccine, or if you, I don't know, this is a little bit off my normal, but personally, if you can get vaccinated, you should. I'm vaccinated and I still feel like I'm still curious. We don't really know what the long-term side effects of COVID are. So maybe you got COVID and you got limited side effects because you're already vaccinated, but I still don't want to get it. It's not like I go around trying to get viruses in general. So, yeah, this is.
All right. Well, that's good enough. You got the vaccine. All right, Mel, what's your take of Kyrie Irving?
I don't really know what to say about Kyrie. He's a rare bird. If you think back, we had heard of Kyrie when he was at Duke. He didn't play much there. He got hurt. Then he gets drafted, I believe, #1 overall by the Cavaliers, and you really didn't hear about Kyrie. Cleveland was not a very good basketball team, and LeBron James decides to come back, and then everybody gets an opportunity. You know, Kyrie's on the world stage. Everybody gets an opportunity to see how good this Kyrie Irving can be. So I guess we have LeBron James to thank for his awakening, I guess, and in him thinking he has some sort of obligation to whoever. I mean, I don't understand what it is that Kyrie is trying to do. If I'm his teammate, I'm upset. You know, I'm Kevin Durant, I'm upset. I'm James Harden, I'm upset. I came here because you asked me to come here and you said you're going to be here, and now you don't want to take the vaccine. You don't want to get vaccinated. So you don't want to be a part of whatever it is you wanted me to come here to be a part of. I think they can still win without Kyrie because they have Kevin Durant. I mean, Kevin Durant he's something else. But yeah, with Kyrie, it makes it kind of like a shoe in because he's ultra talented. You know, they say about smart people, I guess, geniuses. I mean, they're right on the borderline of what crazy, I guess. And Kyrie's right there. But I think often he kind of falls on the other side there where I don't understand. You know, the world's flat. You know, some of the things that he comes out and says, and I don't know if he's serious about that or if he's just saying that tongue in cheek. But I don't know what to say about this guy. It's disappointing as a fan that we won't be able to watch him go out there and do what he does so beautifully. He's got probably some of the best handles I've seen since Isaiah Thomas. I mean, it's just unreal ball handling ability to finish, pull up and shoot, create, make your own shot, pick and roll, everything. He's got the whole package, but it just doesn't, physically, but just mentally, I don't understand him. I don't know what his point is here. And maybe they just make too much money where he's okay with losing half his salary, 20 some odd $1 million. I don't know. I wouldn't feel good about that. I'd have a problem with losing any money, let alone 22 million or 20, you know, 20 some odd million.
Yeah, all I'll say about Kyrie Irving is he's everything that's wrong with the NBA. Makes a lot of money, doesn't appreciate what the league did to make him his nice wages. Selfish, too much drama. You know, I don't care. You want to talk about how bad the media is. Remember one thing, folks, say what you want about the media. It's free publicity so that we can go ahead and talk about what your accomplishments are. But he's everything wrong with what the modern day athlete. He's a prima donna. He's selfish. And you know what? I can't stomach the guy. It's too much drama. And you know what? I understand that the vaccine isn't foolproof. I get it. But you're talking to a guy who lost his aunt/sister to this thing. And Colin Powell did lose his life recently, even with the vaccine. So I understand that as well. But it's all about trying to follow the science as much as you probably can to be more of a preventative. Nothing's foolproof. But back to Kyrie Irving, okay, a first-class drama queen, king, whatever you want to call him. And other superstars have made him better. And to be honest with you, I can't stomach the guy. And that's all there is to it. So Kyrie, if you want to sit on your couch, take your sweet time, do what you got to do. I'm sure the Nets will find a way to win this.
I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that. You know, I don't know how you watch your teammates go out there and battle and you're just chilling, or you're on a Zoom call for the board, whatever he was doing the last time when he was on a Zoom call for the school board or something like that. I don't know if he's got any kids in school. I don't know what it was. Smith City, something he was on a Zoom call for. And then the other time he's out hanging out in the club. I don't know how you do that.
I don't know either. All I know is he's a prima donna. He's everything wrong with the modern day athlete. Okay. Too much drama, earns a lot of money, and doesn't appreciate.
It's just the basketball players that are like that. Basketball players are just
Yeah, well, we'll segue to one last one, and obviously the big story of the day is Ben Simmons, who obviously got kicked out of practice today. He's been suspended for one game. He's accumulated $1.4 million in fines, and you know what? In my opinion, here's another head case. Has a lot of money due on his contract. So, all right, Steve, give me a quick thought on Ben Simmons.
Well, I'm not entirely read in. I mean, I've followed a little bit online, but he made it very clear that he didn't want to play for the organization anymore. So, he's got to show up, and he's showing up, and he's trying to force his way out. So he goes to practice. Doc Rivers wants him to take part in a defensive drill. Nope. He asked him a second time. Nope. So then they sent him home. So that, I believe, that's his way of forcing his way out of town, whether you agree with that or not. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion on that, but I believe that's what his motivation is. He's trying to force his way out, and he'll probably get it.
Okay. Greg?
Yeah, I was at home today working, and I had ESPN on, but I had it muted. So I saw the video of Ben at practice, and I didn't know what the backstory was. I didn't know that he'd refused to participate in a couple drills and he'd been suspended. But you could just tell by his body language, he had no desire to be there. I mean, he's just there so he can get paid. And he made it clear he didn't want to be back. I don't know how much Philly wanted him back. So why he didn't get traded just sort of boggles my mind. And somebody's got to want him. Yeah, he can't shoot free throws, but he still can play defense. He still can rebound. He still can pass. Still can. So he's an effective player. He doesn't have to be the greatest player of all time. Philadelphia was probably asking for like 4 first-round draft picks, and he's not worth it. So they are where they are, and Philly's going to trade him at some time, and they ain't getting 4 first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
Lucky if they get one.
Mel, you've seen players like this a lot. So what are your thoughts about Ben Simmons?
I mean, you kind of knew this was going to happen. It's kind of like you filed for divorce and the judge tells you to go home for a couple months and let me think about it and try to work something out. You guys go home and, stay around each other. Something's going to happen. And it's unfortunate because he's a professional, number one, but this is the problem with guaranteed contracts. The league, the team, the players can hold team hostages by doing things just like this. So he knew he was going to lose a lot of money if he stayed away from practice, stayed away from camp, didn't go to games. So this is his way of showing up, but he's not going to participate. He's made it very clear that he wants to leave. Now the problem I have with him is I'm cut from a different cloth. If people are saying that I can't do something, then I'm gonna figure out a way. Come hell or high water, I would be in the gym for hours, proving everybody wrong. Developing a jump shot, shooting free throws. They're free throws. How difficult can it be? The goal doesn't move or anything like that. The line is the same. It's just a matter of muscle memory. Man, jack up 1,000 free throws a day or whatever it is. If you can't do it, lift some weights a little bit so you can jack up 1,000 free throws a day. Get yourself a little routine and start making some free throws. I mean, how difficult can it be to shoot 75% from the line? It's just a matter of putting in the work. And that's the problem I have with the modern day athlete is they all want to be given something and none of them want to work for anything. They just want to be given something. That's my problem with college players transferring here, transferring there. I mean, you look at what's going on with Oklahoma right now with Spencer Rattler. He's leaving. He's leaving. The guy that took his place is a freshman, and so he's leaving. But getting back to Ben Simmons, I don't understand it. I mean, all the natural skills in the world, 6'11", decent handles, work on your jump shot. When Magic Johnson came into the league, he didn't have the greatest jump shot. Still didn't have a great jump shot. He had a little set shot, but he made it work. But he shot good. But he could shoot from the free throw line. He could create his own basket, just similar to Ben. I mean, that's who he should try to be is Magic Johnson. That's who he should try to be. Develop yourself a little set shot, and then, you know, work on your free throws and everything else. I mean, he's a better defender than Magic could ever be, better rebounder. You know, Magic was a decent rebounder, but I think Ben is a better rebounder. But that's who Ben Simmons should model his game after, is Magic Johnson. If he could just become a Magic Johnson, boy, Philadelphia would be a very difficult team. But these guys are all, man, they're weak mentally. They're all very weak mentally. They have such fragile mindsets and their egos, and you know, they're more worried about their Instagram. And I mean, I read this thing that said that Ben Simmons has dated more women than he's made 3-point shots. I think he's dated 7 women since he's been in the league. He's made 6 3-pointers, I think is what it is.
Well, that's scary.
Classic Ben Simmons.
There you
That's
go.
not good.
All right, so Joe, you want to take a stab at this one before we call it a night?
Yeah, you know, this one spans multiple sports. It spans work. It spans being in the military, insubordination, feeling that what you're doing is more important than something bigger, and trying to break things down to put yourself up is just not a good look. So Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon, they have this insubordination. They hold things back. They don't fulfill their contracts because they're worth more. They're better. They need to make a ruckus to get paid, or because it's important for them. They need it. What about all these teams or all these fans? Or like, if you go to your job, they say like, you're a cook. You go and they're like, hey, okay, cook this meal. And they're like, no, like, okay, you're fired. Go get another job. But then if you have like a guaranteed contract or something, and you can't leave, and then you just do all these things and you work with these people to find these loopholes and get out of this, to do that. I mean, go the Kirk Cousins route, go the Giannis route, the Lamar Jackson route. Okay, I'm going to get paid. I know what I'm doing. I'm performing at a high level. I'm going to get more money. I want to stay where I am. I want to organically grow. And that's my take.
Good enough for me. So yeah, the bottom line with Ben Simmons, as far as I'm concerned, he got criticized a little bit last year by Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid. Get over it. Okay, so what? It's during the playoffs. I believe the Philadelphia 76ers were the number 1 seed last year when they went into the playoffs and they underperformed. Get over it and work on your game, Ben. That's all you need to do, and fulfill your contract. When your 4-year deal is up, then you can walk and go wherever the heck you want. So with that said, Ben, get over it, because right now it's just costing you money and making you look bad. And as far as the 76ers are concerned, I think they overplayed their hand. I think that they were asking way too much from what this guy's worth. So just see what you can get out of them. You don't need that toxic individual in your locker room messing things up. So all in all, guys, I'm glad we talked about a lot of different things today. Hopefully we've been able to talk about a lot of different fan bases. That's what the whole idea is about, mixing it up. So with that said, Steve, why don't you let everybody know how they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at SteveB7SFG. And I'm on, Facebook, Instagram. You can email me anytime. Steve@Sofrep, SOFREP.com.
Okay, and just an update while we have it. I don't know if Mel's looked at it. I know where his body language is. Right now, the Dodgers lead the Braves 6-5.
Top of the ninth.
Top of the 9th inning. So I don't know. This could get interesting. So I know Mel's looking. I'm looking. Okay. With that said, Mel, let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
But I'm gonna tell you though, it won't hurt me if the Dodgers lose, because I'm really rooting for the Astros. I like Dusty Baker to win one. We're talking about managers. I mean, he's done everywhere he's gone. He's done nothing but win. I mean, wasn't he there with San Francisco when Barry Bonds was there and they got close, and then he was at Cincinnati and they turned that program around. And the Nationals, he got close. So I'm hoping that Dusty finally gets one. Anyway, I can all the social media at Mel Farr Jr. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever else there might be, LinkedIn. And then you can check out what we have going on here in Georgia and Detroit for our youth at melfar.org.
Yeah, I can appreciate where you're coming with Dusty Baker too. Won 1,987 regular season games that have a World Series title to show for it. Name an individual that's not sentimental that wouldn't want to see Dusty Baker win. I'll tell you, he's got a buzzsaw with these Red Sox. But that said, we'll transition over to Greg Fuchs.
Yeah, I write for SouthFloridaTribune.com, so you can find me there. On Twitter, my handle is gfuchs at Gregory Fuchs. And you can also find me out there in the LinkedIn and Facebook world.
And last but not least, go ahead, Joe.
You could find me on Twitter at FF_spotlight. And you can find my fantasy football analytics articles on ffastronauts.com.
And if you want to find our broadcast, you can go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube South Florida Tribune YouTube channel at no cost. All it takes, let your finger do the walking and find it over to the subscribe button when you go to youtube.com and hit South Florida Tribune. You can also find it through the website, www.southfloridatribune.com. If you're looking to listen to it, you can go listen to it wherever you get your podcast. Some of the name ones we're looking at: iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it, they're out there, Spotify. So if you want to go ahead and listen to the broadcast, then those are the ways to do it. So wherever you get your podcasts as well, you can find us on Twitter at Tribune South. It's at Tribune South. Follow us there. So lots of different ways that you can watch and listen to these broadcasts. We all put a lot of heart and effort and energy into these things. Want to make sure that you get the best broadcast that we can definitely put together. So guys, enjoyed having you tonight. I know we went around a lot of different directions, but you were fantastic and you showed your versatility. And I wish I had a final score for you right now, but right now, as it stands right now, it is 6-5 with the Dodgers. So meanwhile, any other closing thoughts by you guys?
So they're doing they're having the ESPN Game Day is going to be at UCLA this week.
Are they?
That's what I'm seeing. That's what the email I just got.
Oh, very good.
Who are
Well,
they playing this week?
Oregon.
oh, okay, I can see that. I don't know. I'll be on the road to Wisconsin, so I don't know where I'm going to be at that particular point. But meanwhile, like I said, folks, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Sports Exchange. So on behalf of Steve Balestrieri, Greg Fuchs, Mel Farr Jr., and Joe Packhem, my name is Scott Morganroth. Thank you for joining us. Until the next time, good night, everybody. And everybody be safe and please take COVID-19 seriously. This virus still is dangerous. Good night, everybody.